And welcome back. Another reminder, tomorrow Washington Post Live takes it live to the concourse at Verizon Center. We got Locker coming on the set. We got a Caps assistant coach. We're also going to have a Philadelphia Flyers analyst for us as well. Check us out tomorrow at 5, live from Verizon Center on Washington Post Live. All right, welcome back to the Comcast SportsNet studios. Back to Washington Post Live. As you can see, we have gotten rid of Al Koken and Michael Lee, and we've brought in the bloggers. And as you know, there are some media members who are blogger adverse. We tend to embrace it here on the show, as evidenced by Blog Show every week, that we like to jump into the World Wide Web. And I want to introduce to you who we have on the set here. Starting on the outside, John Keeley and then Liz Chang in the middle. And they are the authors of On Frozen Blog, which is one of my favorite hockey-related blogs, Capital-specific in the district. So it's a pleasure to meet you guys, and thank you for coming on. And we got Rob Unich here, who's sort of a professional blogger who teaches a blogging course to the National Press Club, and your work can be seen on various blogs all over the internet. And we have so many email questions. I'm actually going to get this thing going by starting with an email question, and it goes for you guys, John and Liz. This is from Adrian, and it wants to know, before blogging, how did you harness and express your passion and enthusiasm for the game or team, and how is blogging more or less rewarding than what you did before?
Well, I actually started an internet listserv, and there were about 40 of us that were Caps fans and hockey fans in the D.C. area. And I was just writing every day on this listserv, and sometimes at length. And one day, a real tech guy in our list said, hey, you know what, we ought to maybe put this up for a broader audience. And I said, well, I don't know enough about the internet to do that. But he took the technical aspect, Gary Kriebel, who's on our blog now, and we put On Frozen Blog up in October of 2006. The very first email we got about 40, 50 minutes after we went up was from Ted Leonsis saying, keep it up. So that's the story. Yeah,
and Ted actually, mentions you guys, and I'm sure he corresponds with you guys too. With Ted's take, I've seen On Frozen Blog mentioned numerous times. And listen, it's got to be kind of cool that the owner of the team is actually, bringing up your name, or your blog name at least.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the highlights for me personally was actually when Ted invited me and my husband to visit him in his owner's suite during a game, and that never would have happened if it wasn't for blogging.
All right, I'm going to ask you this question here, Rob, because this comes from Chris, and I don't know if this is true or not, but he asked, why is hockey taking the lead amongst all sports in accepting bloggers into their credentialed media coverage? I know that you're credentialed for the Caps, and you guys are as well. Has hockey taken the lead in this? Does it not happen in other sports?
I believe hockey has taken the lead. I mean, Ted has had a great influence on that. He's tried to spread the wealth, if you will, to the NBA and other sports. But I can tell you from personal experience, I've talked to other sports about getting a credential myself, and other than DC United, which I believe Eric Mackerlin, who's another blogger, has credentials. Otherwise, it's been very difficult, and I've heard stories, and I know these two have too, about getting credentials, even once you get to the Stanley Cup Finals with hockey. But regular season, Ted and the Caps really have embraced us as regular members of the media, and we appreciate that.
One of the focuses of On Frozen Blog, which I actually really enjoy, is how you guys will look at the local media and basically pick us all apart for either, how our coverage of the Caps or lack thereof sometimes. My question to both you guys is, how do you like us now? I mean, it's blowing up right now.
We're very complimentary now. These are the salad days for hockey fans in Washington. And I've gone out of my way. In fact, just today, I was talking about how everybody should be enjoying this week in Washington. We don't have hockey yet. We got to wait till Friday. But I said, let's enjoy this moment, because if you turn on Comcast, it's like Capitals TV. If you pick up the Washington Post or the Washington Times, you're seeing columnists weigh in now. And a year or two ago, I was critical of the silence among columnists here in Washington. Everybody's weighing in. The press box is super crowded. I don't think it gets much better than this.
Liz, what do you think?
Absolutely. This is what I've been waiting for years now, is this kind of media attention and focus.
One of our emailers I can't remember who it was. It's Kathleen here. She says, I've long heard the Caps have been sort of had the deepest bench of bloggers amongst the sports teams out there. And Kathleen wants to know, do you think your blog and others like it have played a role in generating the dramatic increase in the Capitals? Or what role do you think bloggers have? Let me start with you.
With the Caps, I can talk specifically. I'm very happy that the Caps have embraced this as a regular member of the media. If you look at the Islanders, for example, they have the blog box, and they encourage people to wear their jerseys and really root. And while I think that's great, they're not really getting that media experience, and that media experience meaning going through what reporters go through going to the press box. I went to practice today. I've been to a bunch of practices and a bunch of games, and not once have I ever felt like I was an inferior citizen because I was a blogger. I was treated like everyone else, and I went into the locker room, and I could interview anyone I wanted. And I really am happy to hear that.
That sort of goes anti-perception of bloggers, by the way. Some people seem to think that bloggers just sit at home and react to stories that come out, where you guys are actually out there getting them yourselves.
Well, last spring, because of Mr. Leonsis, I actually traveled to Russia to blog for him. So, yeah, I love to travel. I try to get up to Hershey to cover the Hershey Bears, the Capitals farm team, about once a month. The Capitals are so welcoming. The question, though, about what role do bloggers play, it's a little bit complex. I like to think that we're providing a layer, and the coverage, the mainstream media coverage now is quite excellent. But hockey fans have a voracious appetite, I think, for coverage of their teams, and that's why I think the bloggers, for hockey specifically, have really risen to the top.
Liz, do you feel like you're becoming more of a part of the mainstream because of the success of a blog like Unfrozen Blog, and you can see how many people are responding, and you can actually, there is like some sort of way to calculate sort of the veracity that you were talking about of the Cavs fans? Or do you still like to have that sort of ability to step back and say, oh, yeah, but we're not the mainstream press?
Well, it's funny. I mean, with blogging especially, and especially with Unfrozen Blog, I've been doing a lot more media-type things, but at the same time, I want to keep my level of objectiveness. Not that the media is not objective, but I still like being part of the blogosphere and not being part of the mainstream media.
Well, we enjoyed your brief that foray into the mainstream media today. It was great to have you on, Rob Unich. You can check him out, I guess, mostly on Off Wing Opinion. Is that where we're going to look for your stuff?
No, Eric Mackerlin is Off Wing Opinion. I'm rrthoughts.com.
rrthoughts.com. And, of course, the people from Unfrozen Blog. We have John Keeley and Liz Chang. Thank you so much for coming on. Much more to get to here on Washington Post Live. A little bit later on, we're talking about the Washington Nationals. After a 3-0 start, they've now lost 6 in a row. But when we come back, we're heading to Philly. We're syncing up with Daily News Live, our counterparts in the city of brotherly love. 2 shows together. Only one comes out alive. When we get back on Washington Post Live.
It all comes down to this. Is this the new team of destiny? The road to the cup begins. Alex the Great and the Southeast Division champs battle Philadelphia in a red-hot showdown on home ice. Tomorrow, the Flyers, the Capitals, Game 1 in HD. Coverage starts at 6 on Comcast SportsNet.